Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Glad to be back.
Yeah, and I need to mention right up front that today's material is drawn from a SpeakDuo lesson.
Right. Highly recommend them.
Totally. So if you haven't checked them out yet, you can go to SpeakDuo.com to meet new people from around the world.
Oh, yeah. It's great. You practice English on video calls to become more confident with your speaking abilities.
Exactly. It's just, a phenomenal way to take what you learn here and actually put it into practice.
Definitely.
And since this episode is designed specifically for you, the advanced English learner, we're just going to skip the absolute basics.
We were jumping right into the language.
Right into it. But before we look at the specific phrases, I want to pose a question.
Okay, let's hear it.
Have you ever noticed that when we talk about surviving a normal day at the office or, picking up a weekend hobby, we use language that sounds like we are going into battle?
Oh, wow. Yeah, we really do.
Yeah, right. We talk about stabbing things and catching people, dead-setting our goals, keeping things under tight wraps.
It's kind of a fascinating quirk of the English language, really.
It really is.
Because when you reach an advanced level, the challenge isn't just, memorizing definitions anymore.
No, not at all.
It's understanding the cultural weight, the imagery, and the precise situations where certain idioms belong.
Right, the nuance.
Exactly. We use these incredibly physical, sometimes violent metaphors to describe purely mental or social states.
Which is wild when you think about it.
It is. And that narrative of throwing yourself into the unknown perfectly sets up our discussion today.
Yes, starting with the whole concept of the learning curve.
Right.
That brings us to our first phrase, which is to get the hang of something.
That classic.
Yeah, the official definition we have here is to finally understand or learn how to do a new task.
Right.
But I kind of want to explore the boundaries of this because I used to think this was basically synonymous with mastering a skill.
Oh, I can see why you'd think that.
Right. Like, if I say I got the hang of a software program, does that mean I'm, an expert at it?
See, that is the crucial distinction you have to make as an advanced speaker.
Okay, lay it on me.
Mastering a skill implies perfection. It means you could, write a book on it. You are the absolute authority.
Right, like a grandmaster in chess.
Exactly. But getting the hang of it just means you've surpassed that initial, highly frustrating, clumsy phase.
Ah, okay, the stumbling phase.
Yeah, you have achieved basic competency. Think of the phrase literally like learning to swing on a rope.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
At first, you're just falling off. But when you get the hang of it, you aren't suddenly an Olympic gymnast.
You're just not falling on your face anymore.
Precisely. The mental friction stops.
That makes the usage so much clearer. So, in a corporate environment, imagine you are dealing with a terrifying new email system.
Oh, we've all been there.
Right,
Yep.
where you're constantly afraid of accidentally hitting reply all to the entire company.
The worst fear.
Yeah. So after a week, you might tell a colleague, after a few highly stressful practice sessions, I finally got the hang of using the new software.
Right, meaning you aren't coding the software yourself.
No, I just figured out how to send a message without causing a corporate disaster.
That's a very relatable example. Or if you are sitting in an IELTS Speaking Part 2 exam.
Okay, yeah.
And the examiner prompts you to describe a new skill you've acquired, you could say, I recently got the hang of editing photos on my phone.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, using that specific idiom shows the examiner you understand the nuanced journey of moving from a total beginner to someone who is just competent enough to get the job done.
I love that. And what about before you even reach that level of competency?
You mean when you're just starting out?
Exactly. When you are just starting out, you might, quote, take a stab at something. The definition is to try doing something for the first time or with limited experience.
Right.
We're returning to our earlier thought about the violent imagery. Why stab?
It is a bit aggressive, isn't it?
It really is. It feels like an incredibly aggressive way to talk about trying a new hobby.
It does sound surprisingly violent. But if we analyze how we use this in daily conversation, we can compare it to the concept of making a commitment.
Okay, how so?
Well, taking a stab at something is deliberately, almost aggressively, low stakes.
Oh, I see.
If you commit to learning the piano, there is immense pressure. You're buying the instrument, you're hiring a teacher.
That's a huge investment.
Right. But if you just take a stab at it, you're throwing a dart at a board just to see where it lands.
You're just trying it out.
Exactly. You are throwing your energy at a task once or twice without making any promises to stick with it.
So it's really about managing expectations.
Totally.
Like, if I'm in the workplace and my team is struggling with a complex spreadsheet, I could tell my boss, I'll take a stab at drafting the new report.
Right, which sounds helpful, but protective.
Yeah, I'm offering to help, but I'm subtly setting the expectation that it might be a complete mess on the first try. I'm not committing to perfection.
Precisely. You are basically giving yourself an out.
That's super useful.
Yeah, and in an IELTS context, you might be asked about your future plans.
Right?
You could respond, I might take a stab at woodworking during the holidays to see if I enjoy it.
Oh, nice.
Or, I decided to take a stab at baking and learned a lot from the burnt results.
That really communicates a casual, experimental approach.
Exactly.
Now, once you put yourself out there and start taking a stab at new things, you are inevitably going to encounter situations that you didn't plan for.
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah. And some of these are accidental, but some are highly intentional. Which brings us to our third phrase.
Let's hear it.
Catching someone off guard.
A great phrase.
It means to surprise someone so they are unprepared.
Yeah, and the operative word there is unprepared.
Okay, break that down for me.
The nuance here is the stark difference between being caught off guard and simply being surprised.
Because surprises can be good. Yeah.
Exactly. A surprise can be an entirely pleasant experience. Walking into a room and having your friends yell happy birthday is a surprise.
Hopefully a good one.
Right. But being caught off guard implies a sudden moment of vulnerability.
Ooh, vulnerability. I like that word for it.
Yeah, it means your mental or emotional defenses were down
Hmm.
and you just lacked preparation for that specific moment.
I see. So it inherently carries a slight negative, or at least like a stressful connotation.
Yes, definitely stressful.
So if a boss or a teacher asks you an incredibly specific question about quarterly metrics in the middle of a casual meeting,
The worst.
yeah, you would say, the unexpected question caught me off guard.
Right.
Because you aren't necessarily happy about the surprise, you're actively scrambling to adapt and protect yourself.
Exactly. Or, in everyday life, you might say, a sudden change in plans caught me off guard when I was already on my way out the door.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Right. You were in one mindset and you were suddenly forced into another without warning.
But, not all surprises are about high-stakes corporate metrics or stressful changes.
True.
Sometimes the deception is much lighter, which leads to our next phrase, to pull someone's leg.
Ah, a much friendlier phrase.
Yeah, it means to tease or trick someone in a playful way.
Right.
But my question here is, where's the line between pulling a leg and just flat out lying to someone?
That is a really great question about the intent behind our words.
Because it is a lie, technically, right?
Technically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But compare pulling someone's leg to deceiving someone. Deception is inherently malicious.
It has bad intentions.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
designed to harm, manipulate, or extract personal gain from another person.
Right.
Pulling a leg is strictly friendly and harmless. In fact, the trick in pulling someone's leg is almost always revealed by the trickster themselves.
Like usually within a few minutes, right?
Yes, exactly.
It was really just a social bonding tool.
To
Like a colleague interaction where you say, I was just pulling his leg when I told him the crucial presentation was moved to noon. It's really at 2 p.m.
Right. A classic office joke.
Or in an IELTS response, describing a memorable event with a friend, you might say, I decided to pull my friend's leg by pretending I completely forgot our lunch plans, only to surprise them by showing up with their favorite food.
Oh, that's a sweet example.
Oh.
It's all in good fun.
It is, but we've all been in situations where that harmless trick works a little too well.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Where the person believes you entirely.
Yeah, and that is when someone manages to fall for something, hook, line, and sinker.
Such a vivid phrase.
The definition is to be completely fooled by a trick or lie.
Right.
And I absolutely love the fishing metaphor embedded in this one.
It paints quite a picture.
It really does, because the fish doesn't just nibble on the bait. It swallows the sharp hook, it swallows the fishing line attached to it,
Yep.
and it even swallows the heavy lead sinker weight. It consumes the entire apparatus of the deception.
It is a brilliantly vivid visual. And if we compare this idiom to simply being gullible, there is a significant difference in scale and application.
Okay, how so?
Well, being gullible is a permanent personality trait.
Right, it's just who you are.
Exactly.
Mm.
But falling for something hook, line, and sinker refers to a specific isolated event where a person's belief was absolute.
Ah, I get it.
It means total unwavering belief with zero skepticism in that moment, regardless of whether they are usually a skeptical person.
You see this in everyday life all the time, especially around April Fool's Day.
Oh, definitely.
You might recount a story by saying, he fell for the office prank hook, line, and sinker and completely believed the CEO was resigning.
A great workplace example.
Or, speaking about yourself, I often fall for my brother's simple, harmless jokes, hook, line, and sinker, because his delivery is just so convincing.
Right. You just buy into the reality they've constructed 100%.
Exactly.
Now let's shift our focus a bit.
Okay, where to?
We've talked about spontaneous surprises and falling for tricks. But what about when we are the ones doing the planning?
Oh, like taking control.
Yeah, what about absolute determination?
Yeah.
That brings us to being dead set on something.
Oh, I love this one.
This means to be firmly determined to do or have something.
The word dead adds so much gravity to the phrase.
Mm.
It sounds incredibly final. Dead set.
Yeah, and the finality is exactly the point.
Okay.
Think about the difference between this and simply wanting to do something.
Well, wanting is just a desire.
Right. And human desires change with the wind. You want a coffee, then you want a tea.
So true.
But being dead set means there is absolutely no changing your mind. The determination is absolute, unshakable, and locked in place.
It's a great phrase for demonstrating ambition in a professional setting.
Definitely.
Like you could say, she was dead set on finishing the project before the strict deadline.
Right.
It tells everyone that she isn't just hoping to finish. She's going to move mountains to make it happen, no matter the obstacles.
That's exactly the vibe. Or, again, in an IELTS context, when discussing your academic goals, you could say, I am dead set on finishing my certification course by the end of the month.
You are signaling total commitment.
Yes. And when you are that determined to execute a master plan, sometimes you need to protect your ideas before they are ready for the public.
Ooh, secrets.
Right. You have to keep something under wraps.
Okay, so that means to keep information secret or hidden until the right time.
Exactly.
So how does this differ from the classic concept of taking a secret to your grave? If I keep something under wraps, am I guarding it forever?
Not at all. And that's the beautiful nuance of the phrase.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Keeping a secret forever is a permanent static state. Keeping something under wraps implies it is a strictly temporary secret.
Ah, temporary. Okay.
Think of a brand new statue in a city square, covered by a giant canvas cloth before its grand unveiling.
Like a literal wrap.
Literally. It is under wraps right now, but the entire purpose of the wrap is that it will be removed when the time is right.
Oh, that visualization makes it so easy to remember.
It really helps.
So socially, you might say, we kept the surprise anniversary event under wraps until the day actually arrived.
Perfect example.
Or in a corporate setting, the tech company kept their new smartphone design under wraps until the keynote presentation.
Right. You are guarding the information, but only because the dramatic reveal is a core part of the plan.
Exactly. But we have to acknowledge that not all plans end in a dramatic, successful reveal.
Sadly, no, they don't.
Sometimes the plan is fundamentally flawed from the start. That is when you have a recipe for disaster.
Oh, yeah. This describes a plan or situation that is very likely to fail or go wrong.
We're moving from fishing metaphors to culinary ones.
We really are.
I really appreciate this phrase because it highlights causality. It's not just that one random bad thing happens, right?
Right.
A recipe requires a specific combination of ingredients mixed in a specific way. It's the combining of those toxic elements that creates the terrible outcome.
You are hitting on the exact core difference between this idiom and a simple bad idea.
Okay, tell me more.
A bad idea might just be a single foolish choice that carries some risk.
Sure.
But a recipe for disaster means that disaster is the almost guaranteed output of those specific inputs. You're basically mathematically calculating a failure.
Wow. Okay, let's paint a picture of a work example.
Let's do it.
Trying to launch a new product globally in 3 days without a marketing plan is a recipe for disaster.
Oh, 100%.
Or On a personal level, working a 12-hour shift without breaks while trying to multitask on 3 different accounts is a recipe for disaster for my mental health.
Oh, definitely.
It's the specific combination of no breaks plus multitasking plus a long shift that bakes the terrible cake.
A terrible cake indeed. And speaking of working a 12-hour shift without breaks,
Yeah.
what happens when our plans, our physical tools, or our own bodies simply run out of steam?
We get exhausted.
Right. We say something is on its last legs.
Oh.
This means to be very old, worn out, or close to stopping working entirely.
Now, usually I hear this applied to inanimate objects like machinery or cars. Is that right?
Primarily, yes. And the nuance here is fascinating when you compare it to simply saying an object is broken.
Because broken means it's totally done.
Exactly. If your car is broken, it is stopped. It is 0% functional. You were calling a tow truck.
Yeah.
But if your car is on its last legs, it is still technically functioning. It is sputtering down the highway, making terrible noises.
Oh, I know that sound.
Yeah, and a complete breakdown is absolutely imminent, but it hasn't died just yet.
Got it. Like when you're talking in an IELTS exam or just chatting with a neighbor about household items,
True.
you could say, my kitchen blender is on its last legs after years of heavy use.
Aye.
Or, my old office printer is on its last legs and needs replacing soon. Like, it managed to print the document, but it made a horrible screeching, grinding noise while doing it.
Yes, exactly.
It's barely surviving.
Barely surviving is the perfect way to phrase it.
All right, what's our last phrase?
Finally, we have one more physical metaphor. To brush something off.
Oh, hey.
This means to ignore or dismiss something as unimportant.
Now, when I first learned this, I thought it was just a synonym for forgetting something happened. Is there a difference?
Oh, a massive difference.
Really?
Yeah. Forgetting is passive. It just fades from your memory over time without any effort on your part.
Okay, that makes sense.
But brushing something off is an active, deliberate, and conscious dismissal.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine you are walking outside and a bit of physical dirt lands on your sleeve.
Mm.
You actively brush it away with your hand so you can maintain your clean appearance.
Right.
Mentally, you are actively wiping away an annoyance so you can maintain your emotional focus.
That active choice is so empowering, actually.
It really is.
So in work or life, if a colleague makes a subtle, passive-aggressive comment during a presentation,
Which happens.
yeah, you could say, she decided to brush off the rude remark and smoothly continued her presentation. Or if you face a minor hurdle in your studies, you say, I take a short walk, and then I brush the minor setback off to focus on my exam prep again.
Exactly.
You are consciously choosing not to let that dirt ruin your outfit, so to speak.
It is a vital skill in emotional regulation, beautifully captured in a simple physical idiom.
All right. We have explored a lot of nuanced territory today.
We covered a ton.
We did. Now, I want to invite you, our listener, to actively test what you've just learned.
Yes, time for the quiz.
We are going to do a rapid-fire interactive quiz.
And I always say, passive listening is great, but active recall is the best way to cement these advanced phrases into your daily vocabulary.
I couldn't agree more. So here is how it will work. I will explain that I'll read the question and 3 options, option A, option B, and option C.
Right.
And you should guess the correct definition. So I'll read the whole thing, and then I'll ask you to pause the audio.
And then I will immediately jump in, reveal the correct answer, repeat the specific phrase, and remind you of the real-world example we discussed to lock it into your memory.
Exactly. Are you ready? Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Question 1. What is the best definition for the expression to get the hang of something? Option A. To finally, successfully, completely understand or truly learn exactly how to perform a highly difficult and new task. Option B. To actively, violently, powerfully, deeply, securely, intensely, forcefully, tightly attach a heavy physical hanging object. Option C. To wonderfully, beautifully, gently, carefully, peacefully, naturally, perfectly, correctly, beautifully, completely suspend it.
All right, listener, feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Let's hear it.
The correct answer is option A. When you get the hang of something, you finally understand it. Remember our example of getting the hang of editing photos on your phone or managing not to hit reply all on that new software.
Spot on. Let's move to question 2. How is the phrase, to take a stab at something, accurately defined? Option A. To completely, violently, aggressively, intentionally, fiercely, physically intensely puncture a hard, flat wall. Option B. To bravely, successfully, truly, practically, completely try doing a highly new specific thing for the actual first time. Option C. To deliberately, accurately, perfectly, effectively, safely, gently, quickly, thoroughly, naturally cut thick wires.
Okay, feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
And the answer is?
The answer is option B. To take a stab at something is to try something new. Think back to taking a stab at woodworking during the holidays or taking a casual stab at baking just to see what the results taste like.
Nice. Question 3. If someone manages to catch someone off guard, what exactly are they doing? Option A. To actively, officially, safely, firmly, heavily, completely, forcefully, gently, carefully secure a deeply tired old worker. Option B. To physically, entirely, gracefully, correctly, heavily, intentionally, naturally, wonderfully catch falling plates. Option C. To genuinely, totally, deeply, completely, unexpectedly, incredibly successfully surprise someone so they are unprepared.
Time to choose. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
That's the right one.
The correct answer is option C. To catch someone off guard highlights that vulnerability. Just like when an unexpected question from a boss catches you off guard, or a sudden change in plans right as you're walking out the door.
Doing great. Question 4. What does a person mean when they pull someone's leg? Option A. To successfully, completely, gently, truly, actively, playfully tease or fully harmlessly trick a certain specific person. Option B. To aggressively, intensely, violently, forcefully, tightly, completely, purely grab a running criminal by their legs. Option C. To wonderfully, peacefully, naturally, deeply, beautifully, carefully, successfully, entirely, purely, heavily, gently massage.
Go ahead and feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
All right, reveal it.
The answer is option A. To pull someone's leg is all about harmless trickery. Remember the example of pulling a friend's leg by pretending to forget lunch plans?
We are halfway through the quiz. Question 5. Which of the following describes what it means to be a recipe for disaster? Option A. A remarkably, completely, heavily, genuinely, totally, perfectly, actively, fully, naturally, beautifully baked, delicious meal. Option B. A highly specific, complex plan or incredibly risky situation that is completely, truly, extremely likely to truly fail. Option C. A successfully, effectively, incredibly, deeply, purely, smoothly, totally, strictly, accurately written culinary documents.
Okay, listener, feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Tell us the answer.
The correct answer is option B. A recipe for disaster means terrible failure is the guaranteed output. Think of the nightmare scenario we discussed. Working a long shift without breaks while multitasking is a recipe for disaster.
Question 6. What occurs when a person is said to fall for something, hook, line, and sinker? Option A. To gracefully, actively, totally, beautifully, happily, deeply, carefully, safely, strictly, heavily, efficiently fish in lakes. Option B. To physically, forcefully, deeply, severely, dangerously, rapidly, violently, aggressively, instantly collapse on the floors. Option C. To be truly, absolutely, totally, completely, thoroughly, fully, successfully fooled by an incredibly highly deceptive lie.
Give it some thought. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Guess the verdict.
The answer is option C. To fall for something hook, line, and sinker means consuming the entire apparatus of the trick, like falling for a convincing April Fool's prank hook, line, and sinker.
Almost done. Question 7. What does it mean if you happen to be dead set on something? Option A. To be incredibly, strictly, genuinely, absolutely, powerfully, and firmly, completely determined to do a highly specific act. Option B. To completely, severely, accidentally, forcefully, fully, deeply, thoroughly, permanently break a very heavy stone object now. Option C. To entirely, effectively, successfully, remarkably, completely, totally, naturally, wonderfully sleep for a huge, long time.
You know the drill. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
And the correct option is?
The correct answer is option A. Being dead set on something is about absolute finality in your determination, like being dead set on finishing a short course or a massive project before a strict deadline.
And the final question, question 8. What happens when someone actively decides to keep something under wraps? Option A. To physically, securely, strongly, heavily, thoroughly, deeply, beautifully, completely successfully pack. Option B. To deliberately, safely, entirely, strictly, completely keep valuable information truly hidden until a highly right time. Option C. To thoroughly, correctly, actively, securely, intensely, and beautifully arrange highly complex workplace documentation.
Last chance. Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
Bring us home.
The answer is option B. To keep something under wraps means it's a temporary secret. like keeping a small surprise celebration under wraps for a friend until the actual day.
Incredible job. If you navigated those nuances successfully, you are well on your way to sounding incredibly natural and complex English conversations.
You absolutely are.
Really great work.
Yeah. And before we close out, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to mull over.
Ooh, I love these.
Who brought it up at the very beginning, but look at the sheer physicality of the phrases we just mastered. We talk about pulling legs to mean joking. We talk about stabbing at hobbies to mean trying.
Falling with hooks and sinkers to mean believing.
Yes. We talk about actively brushing off insults, wrapping things up like physical statues, and machines dying on their last legs.
It's almost like the English language doesn't trust abstract concepts.
Exactly.
It demands that we anchor our mental and social experiences in the physical world. Why do you think that is?
It's a great question.
Right. Why does the English language rely so heavily on violent or physical metaphors to describe everyday workplace and social interactions?
It's a profound reflection of how humans evolved to communicate. We understand the physical world first.
Like gravity, impact, dirt, hooks.
Yes. When we need to explain complex psychological states, we borrow the language of the physical world because it's universally understood.
That makes total sense.
It's something to think about the next time you take a stab at using a new phrase in the wild. The history of human experience is right there in the imagery.
That is beautifully put. Thank you so much for exploring these concepts with us today.
It was my pleasure.
And to you listening, keep practicing, keep challenging yourself with those physical metaphors, and we will catch you next time.